The following is a local resident producer's program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of Oshkosh Media, the City of Oshkosh, or...
All right, we're not supposed to look that way.
We're supposed to just look at Edward, I think.
I'm just going to look at it.
What happened to the sound? Hello, my name is Edward Castner, and this is another edition of Making It Happen. Tonight I have Carol Mathers and Deb Martin. Thank you for joining me from Toastmasters.
Thank you for having us.
So,
Yeah, thanks.
And so, how long have you two been in Toastmasters?
I joined in September of 2016.
And Carol, why did you join?
I was in North Carolina, and my son-in-law and daughter were newlyweds in an 800 square foot house. And I wanted to get out of the house.
So it was a way for you to have something to do and get out of the house because...
Yep. Toastmasters, I got very involved and I learned a lot. And then I came back to Wisconsin and I joined Toastmasters here.
Okay. What's the difference between the two states? Like, do they do things differently in Carolina Toastmasters, or is it the same, or how do they run the meetings?
The meetings are pretty similar, but there's always differences from club to club.
Okay.
I got in Toastmasters myself 14 years ago. I had started a new job in the Chicago area, and I'd wanted to be in Toastmasters for many years, but it hadn't worked out. Different jobs I had. That one, they had a Toastmasters club, and the woman I sat next to she told me about it, and so I went and joined right away. The first meeting I went to, they did table topics, and I had an idea, and I stood up and gave a table topic.
Do you remember what the table topic was?
I don't remember now.
Okay.
But I just knew that there was a huge corporation, and there was 3,000 employees in the corporate office where I was, and I thought this will be a good way to meet people, not just in my work group, but throughout the company. And that was true.
Okay. What do you like most about Toastmasters, Deb?
I like meeting new people and learning new things because we can talk about anything in Toastmasters. You get to give your speech about a hobby, your job, some interest of yours. It's pretty open-ended, and you never know when you come to a meeting what you might learn that night, and I find that fascinating.
And how do you think Toastmasters has helped you personally and professionally?
Well, as I mentioned, when I first joined, I was new to a company, and it really helped me make more contacts throughout the company because I changed jobs a few times. I was there 12 years. The other thing it allowed me to do was practice giving more presentations. We did a lot of presentations in my job there, and we could practice with using PowerPoint or not using PowerPoint. And the extemporaneous speaking that we do in Toastmasters called table topics, where someone comes to the meeting and they just say a topic, and now you as one of the members have to speak on that for 1 or 2 minutes. That's really good practice because that happens at work all the time. And in life, you don't have a prepared speech and your boss comes up and says, tell me about this, and you need to be ready.
Yeah, and you kind of have to think on your feet and be ready, and I think it's very important. I think you can learn something about yourself by being uncomfortable sometimes.
Very much so. For instance, one of the topics that I did somewhere along the line was called humorous speeches. And I had to give 5 humorous speeches. The first speech I gave, my evaluator said to me, that wasn't very funny. And she was right, it wasn't. Humor isn't my natural style. But the 5th speech I gave in that series of speeches happened to be the same evaluator, and she said, now that was funny. So I could learn better techniques and better ways of doing things. I've liked doing public speaking since I was in high school, but I wanted to do it better and more effectively, and that is what I really got out of Toastmasters, and still do.
Do you want to talk about the first contest you were in?
Do you want to have a go at contest? And then I can talk about it.
Okay. The first contest I was in was international speech, and it was in North Carolina.
Was this an area one, a district one, or
It was
club?
club, and then I went to area.
How many others were speaking against you? Do you remember? You know, because I'm a competitor. You know, I like to know.
Probably 5 or 6.
Okay. And
It was international speech and it was table topics.
Okay. And what do you remember what the topic was? I'm testing your memory, Deb. I mean, Carol.
I don't remember.
Okay.
And did you go on to area then? You want to explain something about the contests that we have?
Okay, club, then area.
Area being that several clubs are competing against each other.
Yes.
Yeah, because the area was at the Fox Valley Tech, right?
Oh, no. This was in North
Here in
Carolina.
Oshkosh, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
And then there's division.
okay.
That'll be several areas competing against, and then it's district. That's the divisions of, in our case, Wisconsin, competing at all from people around the state. And if you win that, then you go to international, which represents thousands and thousands of people around the world.
And
having
district
competed.
was in Green. Was that the Green Bay?
Yes.
Yes, it was in Green.
Okay.
For us, it was in Green Bay.
Yes.
So Water City Speakers started. I started working with a fellow Toastmaster 2 years ago. She came to me and said, "We want to start a club in Oshkosh," and I said, "Yeah." I moved to Oshkosh 4 years ago, and I was going to Toastmasters in Fond du Lac and then in
Because that was
Appleton.
Was that Truck Masters then, or?
No,
Okay.
that didn't exist at that time.
Okay.
But I wanted to have a club in Oshkosh so I could be in my own city. So when she said that, we started working at inviting people for demonstration speeches. We had a couple of them at University of Oshkosh, maybe even 3.
Okay.
Then we met at Beckett's. We met at a couple of the restaurants in Oshkosh, trying to get enough people to continue to come. Then I got the idea, let's see about Fox Valley Technical College. And I went in and said, can we meet Toastmasters? It's a nonprofit group. And they said, yes, you can. So we started having our meetings there, and we got enough people. We needed 20 people to start a club. And once we started meeting at Fox Valley Tech, we got those 20 members. And our group decided we meet on the first and the third Mondays of every month, usually in the same room. Once in a while, we have to change rooms depending on other things going on at the college. But since they allow us to be there for free, we need to move as needed.
And they've been fabulous as far as letting us meet, and very flexible anytime, you know. So
It's been a great home for us for Water City
I think
speakers.
we have pictures of our first speaking contest here, because
Oh, good.
you know, can we bring up that picture? That's the initial. That was the we got our banner that night. That's the initial picture that we got our
club banner.
Our club banner, yes. With
And that's our district
that's
director and
Ed, right? Ed,
yeah, Ed and our
Gina, and
Yannette.
Yannette. Okay.
This one is a picture of me. I earned my DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster Award, is the highest level of award you can earn in Toastmasters. And this was my second award. Here's the contest.
And do you want to explain? Can we hold that picture on for a minute or two? Do you want to explain what it took you to get that? How long it took you to get that DTM?
So to earn that award, I had to give over 40 speeches. I had to be an area director for a year,
Okay.
a club officer for a year,
Okay.
and do a couple special events. There's all these different roles to play
Okay.
in Toastmasters it's leadership and it's speaking.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal if you can get that far along. And to get it my second time, but like I said, I've been in Toastmasters about 14 years. So you just keep giving speeches and showing up and filling roles, and eventually you get
But
distinguished.
You had to give like a lot of speeches a year to just to do that. So
Right. It took me probably 5 or 6 years to get that award. But then I didn't work. Some people can do it a lot faster.
yeah.
I think, Carol, you've earned your DTM.
I've just earned it, but it hasn't been submitted because we have to wait till the next Toastmaster year, which is just a few days away.
Yeah.
July 1st.
Nice.
Now we can talk about
Congratulations.
Now we can
Thank
talk
you.
about the speech contest here. Can we bring up the picture again? Debbie, do you want to explain?
Sure. So we had two contests at our club this year. We're a year now, fairly new club, but we had an international speech club contest and we had a humorous speech contest. And so Edward was one of our contestants, as was Tom and Sanjay.
Yeah.
And then some went on to our area contest, which was also at Fox Valley Tech.
Mm-hmm. And just to let people know, I did my speech on the night of the wheel.
Yes,
and it was funny.
Very humorous. Edward was in the humorous speech contest, and I hope to hear that speech again.
Because I want to improve it so I can, get up a few more levels. See, with every speech you do, you have to take a quiz, and then there's some other additional work. So.
Yeah, and you get an opportunity to then take feedback from your evaluators and say, okay, these are the things I'm going to do to make it better, and give it again.
And I think the feedback really helps because when you go in front of a boss for an interview, then you're not, if it's either negative feedback or positive feedback, you know how to handle it. Because I think some people get out in the real world and they don't know how to handle criticism. I mean, whether it be positive or negative, in Toastmasters we try to stay positive as we can, but it never hurts to be a little tough in Toastmasters. You can be a little gentle when you give your first speech, kind of like Tom talked about the other night. It's you have to know who you're evaluating and to let them know, because we have to let them know what to look for, and there's different criterias to look for and stuff. So.
Well, and you're talking about evaluations too, Edward. One of the things that I think is a hidden gem of Toastmasters is evaluation. It's really helped me focus my listening. That's a skill we all need in work or in other situations. And when you're evaluating someone, you really want to pay attention to what they're saying and give honest, helpful feedback. And that takes a concerted effort. And so being an evaluator really is a nice skill to take with you.
Can I just make a comment on that? I think enough people don't listen in the world, and that's what's really missing with a lot of things in the world, because if we just take the time to listen, it would cut down on maybe suicide, because people just need somebody to listen, and it would cut down on a lot of problems.
Misunderstandings.
It's a lot of miscommunications. So, Carol, what we've missed you since you've been in North Carolina, but how many speeches have you given there since you've been kind of there and stuff?
How does your club work in North Carolina? I hear it's different from ours here in Oshkosh.
Well, I'm in a couple of different clubs in North Carolina, but the one I'd like to talk about is Davidson Toastmasters. It's a virtual club. We do have some live meetings as well, but I'm hoping that it's going to be all virtual. It's not all virtual yet.
What does that mean, virtual?
You go to the website of Davidson Toastmasters, and there's a little link you can click, and you appear on computer.
So everybody's in a different place.
Yes.
So you can be at home or wherever.
You can be at home. We've done it when North Carolina had a snowstorm. We didn't. And we had an all virtual meeting. It was great.
And Deb, would you like to see? I know that this would be a big undertaking for Toastmasters and international, but would you like to see maybe more clubs do that? Because let's say if some members can't come to meetings, and that's often the case, but let's say if they can get in front of a computer, or, because if they can still be at home and watch their kid or do whatever they got to do, they can still be at the meeting.
Right, and there are quite a few clubs that are virtual in Toastmasters International, because Toastmasters is in 120 countries, I want to say, around the world. Mm-hmm. So we have all different kinds of clubs and situations for people. But Kimberly Clark had a Toastmaster club in Appleton, or Neenah Menasha, and they had a virtual club. I was the area director a couple years ago, and I would go visit them. So there would be people in 3 different buildings, and sometimes someone even at home, they were working from home, and they would all connect in. They'd go to a conference room, and they could all connect in and see each other as they were giving speeches or holding their meetings. So I have seen how it works too, and it can work. It's good to be together, but also there are situations where this is a way to include people. Yeah.
And as far as that goes, we need like three members before the end of this month. Here we have a couple more days to go, and
we need 2.
2, okay. So
I got 1, so we need 2 more.
Do you want to talk a little bit about
membership?
About membership and like how much it costs and
Sure. Toastmasters right now, it's $45 for 6 months or $90 for a year to be a member. The first initial time you join, there's a $25 fee to get you started in getting not books anymore, but getting you into the system and starting getting the Toastmasters information. But after that, there's no fee additional. It's a $45 plus. In our club, we ask for $5 every 6 months from our members. That helps us buy some supplies for the club.
Yeah.
Well, what you get for that is we are now on, it's all done on computer. It's called Pathways. And you do a little analysis. You go online and answer some questions, and it kind of figures out for you what type of speeches you might want to give based on your answers. Yeah. We call it a path. Yeah. And then there's step-by-step levels in that path, and you get awards after you give probably 3 speeches or so every level.
Isn't that the level? Isn't like three speeches for level 1, right?
Yeah, level 1, and then you get to level 2. A lot of members in our club are in level 2 right now.
And you don't have to go in order.
You have to go in order in that level. You can't go to the next level until you've finished level 1. You can't go to level 2 until you're finished. And we can't go to level 3 until we've completed level 2.
Okay.
But they give you all the information on the computer. There's a lot of short videos about how to use different things and to learn different skills. So it's one of those it's partly virtual. You can be anywhere in the country or the world and be learning something about Toastmasters.
And Carol, in Carolina, do you have to go in order, or can you kind of skip around, or do you have, how is it different?
Well, you have to start with the icebreaker, and you have to end with the very last piece. Okay. You can do things out of order. For example, I think I told you that when we had that interview before, that you should be able to get credit. I found out I could get credit as an expert interview, and I was encouraging you to have an interview as an expert. That's a level 3.
So do you think I still could get credit for?
You would get credit for it when you got to level 3.
Okay.
Well, you can say that's done.
Deb.
Yeah,
that's done.
Sure.
So that part would be done.
And
one of the other things we have good in our club, I was just going to say, because I am your mentor in the club, and what a mentor does is help a fellow member with navigating the new system of Toastmasters, getting through pathways, that kind of thing. And just encouragement for giving your next speech. And do you have questions outside of the club of how things are going? So we try in Toastmasters to have mentors for all of our members. Whether you're new or old, it's nice to have someone you can talk to outside of meetings, ask questions, throw ideas for speeches.
Well, I've had the honor of having you over at my place to even go over speeches or just to listen to me, because I think it's important to have somebody else outside listen to you, because maybe you don't sound as good as you think.
And often you sound better than you think.
So.
Yep. It's been good that way. It's been good to do that. And I've done that with a few other members. Met them for coffee somewhere, and we've worked on speeches or different aspects that they might want to know more about Toastmasters.
And Deb, do you remember the club website offhand? I don't have it in the graphics, but do you remember remember we worked on the website? Do you remember it offhand?
I don't, but if people go to toastmastersinternational.org and they put in our zip code, it'll show what clubs are within the zip code, and that will be Water City Speakers. They click that link and it will go right to our website.
Cool. So they'll still get it. Okay.
We also have a Facebook page that people can look for us on Facebook at Water City Speakers,
Okay.
if they'd like, and
Okay.
come visit us whenever. Now, next week we're having a mixer, our summer mixer, so we're not having a regular meeting on the first Monday of the month, but that's because Fox Valley Tech is closed, and we thought it would be fun to just get together and know each other a little better.
And can anybody still come to that mixer if they want to
Yeah,
join us?
that'd be great. We're going to have it at Beckett's
Okay.
at 2 Jackson Street in Oshkosh, starting at 5:30, our regular meeting time, next
Okay.
Monday, July 1st.
Okay.
But after that, then on the 15th, we'll be back at Fox Valley Tech with a regular meeting. We encourage people, if you want to come and visit, maybe come at 5:15 if you can, a little bit early, so we can chat a little bit before the meeting starts. We try to be pretty prompt at starting and keep the meeting to an hour as much as possible.
And Deb, do you want to, Deb and, I don't know if Carol's ever been to Toastmaster International Convention, but do you both want to talk about your experience at the International Convention?
Sure, go ahead.
I think the best part for me was the semifinals on the International Speech Contest. I got to hear someone from North Carolina. I got to hear our candidate as well. And then the finals on the big stage were very exciting. And this year, for the first time in history, 3 women won, and there were fewer women than men competing.
And I think on the last episode that we had on a few months back, you told me a story of, I think it was a gentleman that did so many speeches in so many months, and he was surprised to be at the International, or you were surprised he was there.
Well, I've been to 3 different international conventions.
Okay.
The last one was in Chicago in August.
Yeah.
Before that, I was at one in Las Vegas,
Okay.
and I've been to one in Cincinnati. So they move around. This coming August, it's going to be in Denver, Colorado.
I believe
And the
it-
year after that, it's going to be in Paris, France.
And I believe the dates are the 21st through the 24th of August. Don't quote me on that,
In
but
Denver.
I really do believe that. So
Yeah, I wish I could go. But what's so fun about them is there's some workshops you can go to. You get to meet people from around the world. People have competed at their club, at their area, at their division, at their district, and made it to international out of, I think they said, 55,000 competitions, or people have competed to get to the top bracket. I go to a lot of those. There are 10 groups of 10 different competitions at international, and you go to as many of them as you can, and you hear wonderful, wonderful speeches. And
also they group them in 10.
so one from each of those 10 makes it to the final stage.
Okay.
They have to give a different speech
So
the next day.
Is there group A, group B, group C?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
They name them. And then those 10, the next day, have to give a totally different speech than the one they won on for that level. And that is very exciting. A couple years ago in Las Vegas, I was still in the Chicago Club at the time, because that's where I moved initially, was in Toastmasters. And our guy from Chicago won Toastmasters International. And he was just in Green Bay, here in Wisconsin, for our spring convention.
Yeah.
He came to speak. Well, I had competed against him in the division level. But, of course, he won. He should have won. He did a much better job than I did. But it's fun to be able to say that we were in competition and he went all the way.
Now, Deb, is that a goal of yours to be on that final stage?
No, that is not a goal of mine. No.
Carol?
No.
I have done all the speech competitions over the years. It's not something that I care about that much, but I know it's part of the Toastmaster experience, and it's good to stretch yourself. Toastmasters is about getting out of your comfort zone, but in an environment where people support you and trying new things.
Let me just tell you that it's been the most rewarding for me. People are so, I just can't describe the feeling. It's a real warm feeling. It almost feels like family. You don't have to be embarrassed about coming in. They just make you feel so comfortable, and it's an honor to be there.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, and I've been, over my time, I was an area director in the Chicago area too back when I was there. I have been to club meetings all different places, and it's true, no matter where you go. There's little variations. Clubs do some things different, There's always speeches, there's table topics, there's some business, and it's a fun place to hang out with people, and especially people that are afraid to give speeches. It's a great place to come because we are only going to be encouraging you to be your best. And as a member, and you see people coming in so nervous, and they keep getting better and better, it just really does your heart good to see the confidence.
I have a story about that. My friend in North Carolina was so afraid of speaking. She joined Toastmasters, and she was able to give a eulogy at her father's funeral, and her sister was so impressed. Her sister joined Toastmasters.
Nice.
Was it because she joined Toastmasters she was able to give it, and she was able to have the strength to give it?
Yes. Yes, she was terrified of speaking, and her sister was blown away by that, and so her sister ended up joining Toastmasters.
Nice. And I'll say, too, I've seen people come in so nervous. And one lady, the podium would shake. She would be so nervous. But she kept coming and she kept coming. And finally she came to a meeting and she said she had to drop out of Toastmasters because she got a promotion. And she was going to a different company.
Okay.
That gave her courage to get a better job. They say the number one reason people leave Toastmasters is because they got a promotion.
Okay.
And now they've gotten busy. So if you want to improve your work skills, these presentations happen all the time in many different occupations. But also maybe you're in civic. Maybe you want to go to a school board meeting, or you want to speak out about in some other way in your community. And Toastmasters will give you that courage.
And don't be afraid if you're from a different language. Just look at Sanjay, and he gets up there, and and
a lot of people where English is a second language join Toastmasters.
Yeah.
That happens, especially like I said, I was in the Chicago area, so we had that happen a lot, and that just adds to the diversity of Toastmasters.
Well, speaking of Sanjay, I remember Sanjay's speech where I think he's a. What does Sanjay do? Like, is he post office?
He's a pharmacist.
Pharmacist. And he kept taking the exam over and over and over again. And he explained how he didn't want to give up because he wanted to be. And I think it was the 9th or 10th time. It took him 10 times. So that just tells you that if you really want something, you got to work. Sometimes if you keep trying and trying, I'm just telling my audience never to give up if you really want something. So.
Yeah, and one of the ways to help you for that never give up is to find a group of people that will be your cheerleaders and supporters in that goal, whatever it is.
So, but yeah, now I wanted to talk about the officer roles in the club, and the importance of them.
One of the taglines in Toastmasters is where leaders are made. We don't say leaders were born, we say leaders were made. Because here's an opportunity for you to be an officer. The officer roles are president, vice president of public relations, which you are, vice president of education, vice president of membership, treasurer, secretary, and we have a sergeant at arms. And the sergeant at arms makes sure that the room's set up and that we have the right tools that we need to run a smooth meeting. So these are roles that we take turns, we share, people change roles, and it's a good way to practice your leadership in a supportive environment.
Okay. Okay, we only have like a minute left. Is there any last things Carol and Deb want to share about joining, and maybe recruit message or something to say to the camera?
One thing I would say is Toastmasters meetings are always open. You are welcome to come and visit us anytime. The door's always open. You can visit more than one time. Well, we want you to join and be a member with us, but you are welcome to visit multiple clubs.
And it doesn't matter what race you're from, what language you speak. We'll welcome you all. And as we get to know you, we might even give you a hug if you let us.
Yep.
So, but thank you for joining me today, guys. So
Thank you for having us.
Again, this is Edward Castle for Making It Happen. Thank you.